This is the recipe for the salsa that I make, and I think I've pretty much perfected it to our taste, the way we like it. So what I do is I start off with this stuff here, this La Mexicana, just as a base. It's the hot salsa. It comes in hot, medium, and mild. Now these tubs here are the biggest ones I found, and we find these at Winco, and they're cheaper. Even Walmart sells the same stuff, but it's a smaller tub and it costs a little bit more money. I get 4 of those, and which is a big batch. And then I get this stuff, this all-natural hot chunky salsa. And the great value obviously is from Walmart. I've tried different kinds, like with some salsa you get has corn in it and stuff like that, and the taste has never really suited us that much. So this salsa here goes really good in this, and for our taste we really like it. What I do is for every 2 of these I use 1 of these, and here's the other ingredients. I'll just scan across it here. Of course, we've got the cilantro, and what we usually do with the big batch is 1.5 bunches to 2 bunches, depending upon the size of the bunches. So these are the 2 that we bought tonight, and then this here is a leftover from the last time we made salsa. So we'll probably end up using this and this, and then see what happens. And if we think we need a little bit more, then we'll break into that bunch there. Then we use jalapenos, and for a big batch, I'll use 3, and they're good size jalapenos. So I'll use all 3 of those, seeds and all. And then I use the real habanaro chili peppers. These are the next step up from a jalapeno in heat. So these habaneros are pretty hot. But that's the way we like it. Our motto is, if it didn't make me sweat, then it wasn't hot enough. So I'm going to use 5 of the limes and 5 lemons. And these are the large size lemons. Then I'll use 5 of the Roma tomatoes. The reason why we use Roma tomatoes is because they're more meaty on the inside. We're going to use 6 bunches of green onions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I've got this little chopper here. Turn this light on here. So I've got this little chopper here that I use for chopping things down, and we'll get to that as I do it. I have this bowl here, and I'm not sure how big the bowl is, but it just, for this recipe, a large batch. What I do is I'll squeeze the lemons and the limes individually. And by the way, I have this here for that. I've got one of these things. I just bought this. This will be the first time I've used this. See how it goes. What I've usually done is I'll dice these into small enough pieces to where they fit in a garlic press. And I've always used a garlic press to squeeze that. But I'm going to try this time, and hopefully that'll work out better. Be a little easier and go a little quicker. And then I always strain it, and it's a stainless steel strainer so that it won't rust. And how I gauge it is this bowl here, I fill it. So I'll do the limes, and if that doesn't fill this bowl, I'll supplement it with this right here, real lime juice, 100% lime juice. Of course, fine print from concentrate, but it's really good. Same thing goes with the lemons. If the lemons don't quite fill this completely, then I'll supplement that with this real lemon, 100% lemon juice. It's the same brand as this lime juice is. It's just lemon juice. So yeah, if on each of those, however full it gets, if it's not full, I top it off with just the real juices there. Let's see, the size of the bowl. That's a pretty big bowl. I guess that's a couple gallons anyway. And believe it or not, when we're done, this is a big batch. It's going to come up to about here. I mean, it's going to fill this bowl. So I prefer to use the plastic spoon versus the wooden spoon for this job. And let's see, what else? The chips. Come over here to the chips. We used to always buy these on the border Mexican Grill and Cantina tortilla chips. They've got the touch of lime in them. You can see the little lime right there. They're really good chips, but the thing is you know, they're what is it, 1 pound 8 ounces, and they're like $3.98 for those. So what we've done is we've started buying these Don Julios, which is a 2 pound bag of tortilla chips, and they're almost as good. If I said these chips, I'd rate them at a 10. I'd probably rate these at a 9 or a 9.5. So they're pretty good too. And these are like $2.98. So you get 2 whole pounds. You get more chips for $1 less. As far as the tools, we have a pair of scissors here, and you'll see what those are for. I've got a couple knives I use. I'll use this to mince the cilantro leaves, and you know, I'll sometimes whatever I choose, I'll use it to do various things. And then I've also got this knife here that I'll use, depending upon what I'm doing. And other than that, that's all the ingredients. And let's get started. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up these here. And I'm just going to get this little knife here. I'm just going to pop the top on these. And remember, this salsa does come in, mild or medium and mild. But like I said, we like all the hot stuff. So I'm just going to take these one at a time. And I'm just going to pour that in the bowl. And this has various ingredients in it. I'm not going to go through all the ingredients, but it's a good base starter mix. So I'm rinsing these off as I go, because what we're going to do is we're going to use these to store the salsa. We'll put the salsa back inside these when it's done, when we need to store it in the refrigerator. So I'm going to pour the second one in here. Like so. Always rinsing these off right away as I use them. Now what I'm going to do, I've got 2 of those. I'll pop this one open. I'm going to pour one of these in. And this just goes right in there. Just going to pour the whole thing in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the top back on, and I'm going to shake this thing. Just give it like a pendulum swing to get that down there, so we can get all that out of there. All right, that looks good. All right. I'm just going to mix this together a little bit here. Just to, get it started. pretty good. That's what it looks like kind of so far. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the other two of these in. Same procedure as before. Now I'm going to put the other one of this in. The other one of these, you know, the great value chunky salsa. And I want to get all that in there. So now we have those jars there, and they're all rinsed off and ready to go. I'm going to set this cilantro aside. Next thing I'm going to do is give this a stir. Just mix this together so it's a good, nicely mixed. Starting to look good. Even smells good, but it's going to be better before we're done. So here's what this looks like so far. I'm going to tip this up a little bit. Here's what that looks so far. And you can see it's starting to come together here. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot some of this habanero sauce, chili habanero sauce. And I get this at Walmart too, is where this comes from. And there's, you know, I don't know. We'll see. I usually just play it by ear, and I think I might end up putting most of this in there though. It kind of gets, you know, it's kind of chunky. It's got some other stuff in it too. What the heck. We'll just finish this one off because there wasn't much left in that. Okay. That's it for that. So, all right. There's that. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix this in here. It seems like it's mixed in pretty well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take care of the jalapenos. Okay. I'm just going to take and I'm going to cut the ends off. Can you see this from there? I'm just going to cut that end off. I'm going to cut this end off. And do that for all three of these. Just cut those ends off. And I know there's a lot of people that I know that when they make salsa, they take the seeds. They don't use the seeds from the jalapenos. I don't know why they do that, because the seeds are that's where all the heat is, and that's the good part in my opinion. So I'm going to cut these up into little, you know, cubes, if you will. The reason why I do that is because now they're going to go into this chopper. Pull this chopper forward here. And I'm going to open this up. At least I think I am. All right. And these go right in to the chopper. You're probably wondering in the beginning why we want scissors. Well, it's actually pretty easy to cut this cilantro up with you know, using the scissors. I'm going to start it here just to show you what we're talking about. We're just going to put this in here like this so that we can wash this. So we want to wash everything as best we can. So that's washed. And I'm just going to start this off by doing a couple of these to show you what I mean. You can see that. Right away, I'm going to cut that stem off, and I'm just going to cut right at the base of the leaf. I'll do it up here at the camera. I'm going to cut right there, so I have nothing but leaf. I'm going to do it to this one too. I'm going to cut right across there, so I have nothing but leaf. And we're going to take the stem and we're going to toss that. And we have nothing but leaf left there like that. And we're going to do that to all of those, so there's just leaves. And that's, in my opinion, that's the proper way to prep the cilantro. So I'm going to move this over here to this other counter, and my wife will go ahead and start getting that done. And while she's doing that, I'm going to put the lid on this, these jalapenos here, so I can push this back and see what I'm doing here. Okay, now you can see what I got here is I've got the 3 jalapenos in there. I'm just going to grind these down. And remember, seeds and all. Put seeds and all in there, and it's ground down pretty good. And also, what I'm going to do, I got this little tiny spatula here. I bought this because it's a nice, it fits in here nicely. Because I like to pull these off the edge and just let them fall down in there. And then what I'll do is I'll take a tomato. Just going to cut the end off that. Cut the end off here. Take those and throw them in a garbage disposal. I'm just going to cut that. I'm going to, cut these in and quarter these. Okay. And I'm going to put these right on top inside there. Right with the habanero, the jalapenos. I'm going to mince that down. Okay. So that's ground up pretty good. Now we've got, it looking like that. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to pick a small one, pick the smallest one this time. And what this is going to do for me is I found that it's easier to get all the jalapeno seeds out by doing it this way. And it's pretty full now. So I'm going to twist this off, pull this over here, back to here. And here's what it is going to look like when you pour it in. I want to hold on to this. It's kind of foamy, but it's the tomato and the two of the tomatoes and 3 of the jalapenos. I'm just going to pour that right in there. And I'm going to get this little spatula and clean this off because I want all that goodness in there. I don't want to waste it. I don't want to waste any of that. Of course, the jalapenos and the habaneros are where you're going to get a lot of your heat. So I'm going to rinse this off right away, like I did the others. I'm going to take this and I'm going to scrape these, get all this goodness out of there. All right. Now you can probably guess what's going to come next. I'm going to stir this in, fold this in nicely. It's all mixed in nice and evenly now. So that's that. So yeah, one thing I failed to mention, these dehydrated dried mangoes. They're really good. It's my opinion that salsa isn't salsa without mangoes in it. They smell good. There's actually mangoes in here. If you look on the back, one of the ingredients is mangoes. But I just don't think there's enough in there. So what I do about this point is, because these are dried, I'm going to grab a bowl, grab a couple handfuls of mangoes, just dried, and they're I think they're pretty tasty just by themselves. They go nicely with some kind of a trail mix. I think they're pretty tasty though. So about 2 or 3 nice handfuls. I'm going to reseal this bag, being careful to get all the air out of it. Roll that back up, and we have some more for our next batch. So I've got about that many dried mangoes, as you can see. Now I'm going to put the water in it, and I'm going to fill it up to where the mangoes are totally immersed in water. And what this is going to do is, obviously, it's going to rehydrate them. And I'm going to let them sit at this point until I'm ready to use them. Now the next thing I do is I'm going to put these habanaro chilies in there. I'm going to cut the ends off. And I cut just a small amount off, just enough to get that stem and the back, the bottom button off. So I'm not cutting a whole bunch off. These are pretty expensive. It doesn't seem that bad when you're only buying 5 because they're pretty light, but actually these are I think $7.89 a pound. So if you were to get quite a few of them, that's a pretty hefty cost. But I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 cents if you just buy 5. It's not that bad at all. And it sure does make for a lot better salsa. Really put some bite to it. So all right, there's those 5. Now I don't really even need to cut those anymore. They get dropped right into the chopper, just like so. Same procedure as the jalapenos. Here we go. All right. Those are nicely minced, chopped, whatever you want to call it. Finely chopped. And yeah, you can really smell the heat off those. Those are good. I'll take a couple more of these Roma tomatoes, just like I did with the jalapenos. Put the lid back on. Chop that up. All right. We've got some more room in there. So now it's looking like that. I'm going to go ahead and take this last tomato, chop these up. All right. Now we've got, kind of looks like applesauce. Consistency of applesauce. That might be a good gag. Tell somebody it's strawberry applesauce and then laugh when they take a big bite, I guess. I'll pull this out here and just dump this in. Oh, here, let me get this moved over. Let me see what I'm doing. So I've pulled the blades out and I'm just going to disperse this in there. So like such. And that usually this, with all the tomatoes, it came pretty clean. So I don't need to scrape that. Now, I'm going to mix this in. And I'll give the warning again. Be careful not to splash this stuff, because if you ever got jalapeno seeds or juice in your eye, habanaro is 5 times that. All right. Looks pretty good. All right, now I'm going to take this cayenne red pepper. I'm going to put it in because I want it to start. You know, mixing in. And it might look like I'm putting in a lot, but this is a lot of salsa. I'll just use the rest of this up, and it's probably actually going to be good enough. So that's it for that. So I don't think I'll use any of that. I feel like I got enough of that in. What I go for is just make sure that there's a light dusting over the entire top. Not thick, but just a light dusting. All right, so I'm satisfied with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop those green onions now. Before I chop these, of course, I'm going to have to clean these. And I like to clean them very, very good. I like to take a lot of time cleaning them. This is what I like to do here. I just take the ends. I'm just going to cut these like so. All right, that's all those in. Now what I'm going to do is what I like to do is square these up. And I'm going to take off a little bit of the back end. Not a lot, but I'm just going to take off the ends. So now I've got these. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this a little bit so you can see the sink now. Because what I'm going to do is I turn the water on before it leaves. And I'm going to wash these, every single one of them, from back to front. I'm going to pull off some of the outside, whatever seems, just what suits me. I like to wash these really good. Really do a good job washing these, and I set them right over there. All right, last one. Okay. Now we've got the green onions there. I'm going to turn this camera back to here. All right, so now what we're going to do is chop these babies up. All right. Drop these in there. All right, so now we've got all of the green onions chopped, sitting right on top, and you guessed it. We're going to fold those in, nice and slow. so you don't splash it. Now the salsa's getting kind of thick now, but that's okay because when we put the lime and lemon juice in, it's going to thin it down to just right. All right. Okay, now what we have here is that's the cilantro. Finely, you can see how finely that's chopped up. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside right now because I want to do these lemons and limes first because I want to thin it out a little bit before I put this cilantro in, so it doesn't tend to chunk up. It'll disperse more evenly. I'm just going to cut this one right in half. I'm going to take these tags off. So I don't want to put those tags down the garbage disposal. Cut that right in half. So now it's getting kind of full, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer it into this right now. And I'm just going to pour this in here, seeds and all for now. I'm going to go ahead and pour this in here now. Oh yeah, I think I'm going to save this last lemon because that's full. So 4 big lemons did the trick. So we'll save the lemon. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this juice and pour it right in through this strainer. Just like this. So that's about as much of the juice as we're going to get out of that. Alright. Now, I'm going to put this lemon over there because we're going to save it. Now we're going to do the limes. Same way. So that was the last lime. We'll pour this in here and see where we're at. And you can see that we're not full. So I'm just going to supplement this with a little of that lime juice, which is not a problem. We've done it many times before and it tastes good. So you can see that there's, that much in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this lime juice here. I'm just going to squirt it right in there until it's what I want. This that much did the trick. Now we've got a full bowl of lime juice. No problem. I'm going to strain it in here just like I did the lemon juice. I haven't mixed it up yet at all, if you remember, or if you've noticed. Okay. So now we've got the lime juice in there. Okay, so now I'm going to stir this in. All right, it's looking pretty good. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to put this cilantro in here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to shake it to disperse it. Try to disperse it as evenly as I can so it doesn't just clump up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, once again, just gently just fold this in. Okay, so we've got that mixed in nice and evenly. And now what we're going to do is we've had these mangoes over here sitting this whole time, hydrating back up. I'm going to pour the water off them. And they're going to go straight into the chopper. Right here. Chopper. Mangoes. These are gonna pour some more of that water off. Now these are gonna go straight into the chopper. Now we're gonna take and do a number on these mangoes. Here we go. All right. And that's that. Screw that. We got mango. Kind of looks like green, but it's yellow, orange. It's mango. Kind of the consistency of baby food, kind of. But we're gonna get all that goodness in there. Believe me, this really makes it taste. It just puts a flavor into it that's just really, really good, in my opinion. So now's where we get this little spatula here. I'm going to clean all this goodness out of here. All right. So, now comes time to take this and stir this in. Okay, that's that. Now the last thing I always do, always wait till last to do it, is put the garlic salt in it. Now the garlic salt, it seems like it tones down that heavy heat, and it allows it to come on a little slower. You take a bite, and you taste just the good salsa, and the more salsa you eat in a row, the hotter the heat just gets higher. So I'm gonna put that much in, just a nice even coating, because remember, this is a lot of salsa, and we're gonna mix this in, and I probably got it about right, but once I get this mixed in, I'm gonna give it a taste test, and see if it needs, a little more garlic or maybe a little more cayenne pepper. But as you can see, I mean, it's got a nice consistency right now. It's thick, and it's thin enough to where it stirs nicely, but it's thick enough to where it has some good meat in it, and you can get a nice chip full of it, and it doesn't just drain right off the chip. Okay, here goes. I'm gonna open up these on the borders. Here goes the moment of truth. Tell Mom. Get me a nice chip. We'll dip right into this. Get those green onions. Oh yeah. That's good. I've got some kick. One chip and I can really taste it. Yeah.
Want to try it?
Sure. That's got some kick to it. I like it. I don't think I'll change anything about it. I think it tastes really good.
It's much on my chip. I should have put so much on my chip.
Well, I guess that's that. So the next thing we do is, like I said in the beginning, we'll use these tubs that this stuff came in. We'll pack this in here and in the jars, and it usually fits. We've got extra of those tubs because we keep the tubs every time we make it, so we've got a stockpile of those. But that's pretty much it right there, and that's this is beautiful. It tastes good. I'm not going to change anything about this one. And there's the recipe.